China's property market entered winter overnight. Following the halving of the national new housing transaction area in April, the Chinese property market in May was snowed heavily. And everything was covered in silver, which was extremely deserted. Data show that China's property market has fallen to its lowest point in history since 2015, going back directly to 8 years ago. Such a situation has completely chilled the hearts of all property market practitioners. The developer is looking at the dead real estate, and has no mood to build again. The intermediary is watching the deserted transactions, and life is really hard. The bank is looking at the slow-moving mortgages, and it is too big. In April, everyone was still bullish. Who would have thought that there would be such a shock in May, which would make people shiver with cold? In the past year, when the real estate market environment has been relaxed in various places and the water supply has been tightened, the real estate market has still reached the point it is today. This makes everyone feel at a loss and panic, and they don't know how long this situation will last. The real estate market environment in first and second tier cities has always been the king of heaven, and now it can be so cold overnight, which is really a big surprise. According to the analysis data of housing price increases in 100 Chinese cities, this round of property market adjustment is far more tragic than the 2 rounds in 2008 and 2014. And it can be called the coldest one in history. The 2008 financial crisis bottomed at -0.6%. The worst in living memory. In 2014, when the property market adjusted, it dropped to -1% at the lowest point. However, the latest data released today shows that it has fallen below the lowest value of -0.7% in the last 8.5 years. And has directly declined to the lowest point in history since 2015. This stunned everyone. Broke the historical record so quickly. This shows that, taking 70 major cities across the country as a sample, in April, housing prices in most cities fell from March, and the rate of decline was still very tragic. Carry. In 2008 and 2014. People thought that it was the limit, but this time the impact was even worse, which caught all practitioners off guard, with cold limbs and unbelievable. Such a rapid decline undoubtedly dealt a major blow to market confidence. This shows that the cold snap is so fierce that almost no one can escape it. It has swept across the country and brought great pressure and difficulties to all cities, which is beyond imagination. Under the statistics of this sample of 70 cities, house prices all fell month on month in April. This shows that except for a very small number of cities, housing prices in most cities are falling at an accelerated rate. And the rate of decline has broken the record. This undoubtedly chills the hearts of developers and investors and is completely unbearable. This cold wave was so fierce that it almost became a disaster, and everyone was at a loss as to what to do. If there is any difference, this time the property market shock is more like a blitzkrieg. In 2008 and 2014, everyone was still mentally prepared, but this time, before the weather forecast had time to issue an alarm, everyone was caught off guard. What's more terrible is that such a large decline is just the beginning. Who knows how long this ice age will last and how it will freeze everyone. According to data, this cold wave of the national property market has created a new record. This is the longest decline in China's property market in the past 20 years. Historically, the adjustment period of China's property market is generally short. During the financial crisis in 2008, the national property market only fell for about half a year. Although the adjustment period in 2014 due to the high inventory was considered to be a relatively long time in recent years, it only lasted for 1 year. After these two down cycles, the property market quickly rebounded in a V-shape, and the market quickly recovered. However, this time was different. As of now, the national real estate market has been in continuous decline for nearly 2 years, which undoubtedly surpassed the historical record and became the longest downward cycle in the past 20 years. What does that mean? It means that this cold current in the property market is fierce, and its destructive power and duration are far longer than those in 2008 and 2014. You know, for any industry, 2 years is a relatively long period. In the past 2 years, how many developers and intermediaries are on the verge of bankruptcy, and how many banks are worrying about unsaleable mortgages? This is undoubtedly the longest and coldest 2 years in the history of the entire property market. In April, almost all urban property markets, including first-tier cities, were collectively cooling down. The month-on-month trend of house prices in more than 100 major cities is obvious, and house prices in first-tier cities including Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen all declined in April. This shows that the cold wave of the real estate market has spread to the first-tier cities, and they have been in isolation for a long time. Finally, they cannot escape this disaster. In addition, Wuhan, Hangzhou, Nanjing, Xiamen, Chongqing, Tianjin, Chengdu and other Western first-tier and second-tier cities have also entered the situation of falling prices again without exception. For the third and fourth-tier cities, the decline in housing prices will only be more tragic, which is simply worse. This shows that this cold current in the property market is so fierce that almost no city can escape. Whether it is a first-tier city or a second- and third-tier city, everyone cannot escape this cold current, and they all face the doom of falling prices and trading volume. This undoubtedly puts enormous pressure on all cities. In April, not only the housing prices in the national property market fell, but also the transaction volume continued to drop sharply. The latest data shows that as of May 21, the transaction volume of second-hand housing in key cities across the country continued to decline sharply by 21.63% from April. This shows that in April, The transaction activity of the national real estate market has further declined, and the speed of real estate has continued to slow down. 70% of transactions in Shenzhen, Hangzhou, Nanjing, Suzhou, Chengdu, Qingdao, Xiamen, etc. have dropped by more than 20%, which shows that the activity of the property market in these cities is declining at an accelerated rate. While 30% of the declines in Beijing, Dongguan and Foshan are within 20%, they are still around 10%, which also shows that the property markets in these cities are continuing to be deserted. The higher-ups have begun to emphasize the need to adhere to bottom-line thinking and limit thinking, which shows how severe the situation is. You must know that these two thoughts are an urgent life-saving plan and the last resort to deal with extreme scenarios. It was taken out so quickly, which undoubtedly shows that the situation is extremely bad, and it has reached the point where the worst outcome has to be considered. Prepare to withstand the major test of high winds and even stormy seas. Are the Chinese ready? The helmsman is about to speed up.